Now, from this event, I have only seen and heard of positive things. I didn't hear one thing about how her fans are toxic. I didn't hear one thing about there being too much spotlight on Caitlin Clark and it should have maybe been on the professional golfers that are there. We didn't hear any of that. And those are the types of things that we have been hearing for the entirety of the WNBA season.
The WNBA just made the biggest mistake of the year. They let Caitlin Clark, the hottest name in women sports, slip right through their fingers. And guess who snatched her up? The LPGA. You heard that right. A golf league outsmarted a basketball league for a basketball star. How did this happen? What was the WNBA thinking? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of women's sports? Stick around, because we're diving deep into this game-changing move. You know, what's crazy?
How this Pro-Am event originally wasn't even going to be televised.
The LPGA wasn't even planning to show this on TV. Can you believe it? They were about to miss out on one of the biggest moments in women's sports this year. But the fans, they weren't having it. People went absolutely wild.
There were so many fans who were emailing the organization saying, how can we watch Caitlin? Can we come to the event? Can you live stream it? All of these things.
They bombarded the LPGA with emails and messages. We want to see Caitlin. It was like a tidal wave of fan demand. And you know what? The LPGA actually listened. They put it on TV, but that's not even the best part.
Ended up being put on television, and that was great. Fans were really excited about that. There was so much buzz online. She was trending on Twitter, all of the things. And the LPGA was promoting the crap out of this event.
They pulled off something brilliant, something that's got everyone talking. They paired Caitlin with Nelly Korda, the world's #1 golfer. Now picture this, Caitlin and Nelly side by side, on the green, two superstars from different sports. It's like when Michael Jordan played baseball, but even bigger.
So there are photos of Caitlin and Nelly literally everywhere, and the LPGA was so smart in doing this because they knew that there would be so many eyeballs on Caitlin. So if they put their #1 golfer, who is currently leading the sport and pushing the sport ahead, if they put her next to Caitlin for the entire event, that's just great. It's great for Nelly and it's great for everyone else.
The crowd went absolutely nuts. There were cameras everywhere, see in every swing. Every smile, every interaction between these two incredible athletes. Social media, it exploded. People couldn't stop talking about it.
I think some of the biggest things is you're seeing all the crowd and Yahoo Sports with all the pictures on her turf. Again, early morning crowds for Caitlin at the Pro-Am. They're calling her a larger-than-life figure, and the amount of things she's signing, and they're talking about how great it is.
And Nelly Korda, she was just as excited as the fans. She said,
With the Caitlin Clark, just tell us about the experience.
It was so amazing. She's so sweet, so nice. It was nice to kind of get to spend some time with her. We've messaged a little on Instagram beforehand, but to get to spend some time with her and to see the influence that she has on people, bringing people out here, and to see how amazing of an influence she is just for sports was really cool to see firsthand today.
That's the world's top golfer praising a basketball player. That's how big this moment was. But here's where it gets really interesting. You might be wondering, how big was this? Really? Well, let me hit you with the numbers. How many millions of impressions do you think Clark generated for women's golf? The numbers are in, and they're mind-blowing.
It is mad. And I think one of the big things with this is they showed just how many impressions there were. So if you guys didn't see, just from the Pro-Am, there were 7 million impressions on the LPGA social media.
Did you catch that? 7 million impressions? Just like that, in a single day. Can you believe it? That's 7 million people talking about, sharing and engaging with women's golf. All because the LPGA made one smart move.
And they also said X content about Clark earned an additional 27 million. There were 34 million impressions about this. And it's just every league. It's obviously not only the LPGA.
This wasn't just a golf event. It wasn't just a publicity stunt. This was a masterclass in how to grow women's sports. The LPGA saw an opportunity, and they grabbed it with both hands. They didn't just put Caitlin on TV. They put her next to their biggest star. They created a moment that people will be talking about for years to come.
The LPGA, you can see when it came to them that they were happy that Caitlin Clark was there. They knew exactly the value that Caitlin Clark brought to the whole event. They saw how important it was that new fans were getting involved in golf, especially women's golf.
You know what? This is just the beginning. The LPGA has shown everyone else how it's done. They've set a new standard for how to welcome stars from other sports, how to create buzz, and how to grow your audience. Other leagues better be taking notes, because this is how you do it.
LPGA just did everything that the WNBA should have been doing this season. They did it all correct in literally one day.
Hold up, something's not adding up here. We've got Caitlin Clark breaking records left and right, selling out arenas, and sending TV ratings through the roof. So why is one major sports league pretending she doesn't exist? Let's dive into the bizarre case of the missing superstar.
Everything we've got when it comes to the WNBA, the growth of women's sports, is positive. It's all a good thing to have. Like, all of this growth is positive. So why are we not talking about how great this sport is uniting people? You look at a fever game and there's kids, there's parents, there's people of all genders, ages, races, and you're seeing all this and you're like, they're just here to watch sports. This is great. But the WNBA wants to focus on the online Twitter trolls and how bad that is. Whereas you can see what happens with another league.
Now, you think the WNBA would be all over this? Right? Their star player making waves in another sport. It's a dream scenario for any league. But here's where things get weird. The WNBA's social media radio. Silence not a peep about Caitlin's golf debut. Can you believe it? Meanwhile, every other sports outlet is blowing up ESPN Bleacher Report. You name it. They're all talking about Caitlin Clark teeing off with the world's best golfers. But the WNBA, it's like they forgot. They have the hottest name in women's sports right now.
This is an instance where we are proved correct. You see her at this event. You see the kind of noise that this is making. You see that this is trending on social media. You see that SportsCenter, Bleacher Report, all of these places, every media outlet is covering this, and you don't say anything. That's what we were talking about this whole season. We were correct.
You might be wondering, what's going on here? Well, Rachel, Da'e's sports commentator, is asking the same question. She called out the WNBA saying,
was the fact that the WNBA posted nothing, posted zero about Caitlin Clark golfing in this Pro-Am event. If you look at the LPGA Twitter account, it is filled with Caitlin Clark things.
It's not just a missed opportunity. It's like they're actively avoiding the spotlight. But here's where it gets really interesting. What major opportunity is the WNBA missing out on? They're letting a golden chance to grow. Their audience slip right through their fingers. Think about it, all those golf fans who were watching Caitlin for the first time, they could have been the WNBA's next big supporters.
This was the perfect time for the WNBA to also be posting about this, and they said nothing.
And you know who's noticing all this? The fans. They're not keeping quiet about it either. They're flooding social media with questions. Why isn't the WNBA celebrating one of its biggest stars? Why aren't they capitalizing on this crossover moment? The frustration is real, and it's growing. It's like the WNBA is stuck playing defense when they should be on offense here. They have this incredible player, shining a spotlight on women's sports, and they're just sitting on the sidelines. It doesn't add up in other sports. Moments like this are celebrated, and the players get the respect and recognition they deserve. Why not? Here.
Have you seen it when an NBA player or a football player goes to an NBA game or goes to wherever, and they'll be in the comments or they'll just say something something cute?
Some people are saying the WNBA is being too cautious. They're worried about overshadowing other players. But come on, this is sports. It's all about celebrating your stars, using their spotlight to lift up the whole league. Instead, the WNBA's approach is leaving fans disappointed and confused.
Is that a word? There's immediate hesitancy about giving Caitlin Clark too much praise. They didn't want to give her too much praise. They didn't want to prop her up too much and forget about everyone else who came before her. Didn't want to put her on MVP ladders, didn't want to put her as Rookie of the Year until it was so evident that they had to. There was just so many things that it felt like it was always just a little bit of a push, make sure you don't do too much. We don't want to give her too much praise. We don't want to tweet about her too much. We don't want to post about her too much. We don't want to give her too much media coverage. Let's just make sure that everyone else is also happy. That seemed to be the consensus for the entire WNBA season.
So what's the end game here? Is the WNBA really going to keep ignoring Caitlin Clark's star power? Or will they finally wake up and realize what they're missing? One thing's for sure, if they don't change their game plan soon, might find themselves watching from the bench while other leagues run away with the ball.
We were correct. The fans that were saying that the WNBA seems to be trying to quiet the noise of Caitlin Clark, not letting her shine to her full ability, and not, in turn, not helping your own players in the league, we were right. And this event proved it, because the LPGA did literally everything correct. They capitalized on the moment. They found a way to put it on television. They allowed people to be there. Caitlin was signing autographs. They put their best golfer in the tour, league, whatever it's called. They put her with Caitlin because they knew that she would get more eyeballs doing it.
Caitlin Clark is making waves, but not where you might expect. While the WNBA has been quiet, the LPGA is rolling out the red carpet for her. Can you believe it? Golf stars are going wild for this basketball phenom. Let's break down why these golfers are so excited. Nelly Korda, the world's top golfer, couldn't stop gushing about Caitlin.
We've messaged a little on Instagram beforehand, but to get to spend some time with her and to see the influence that she has on people, bringing people out here, and to see how amazing of an influence she is just for sports was really cool to see firsthand today.
She was amazed by how Caitlin brought people out to watch golf. And it's not just Nelly. Other golfers are lining up to get a piece of the Clark magic. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal? Here's where it gets really interesting. These LPGA stars aren't just talking about Caitlin's golf game. They're talking about her impact on all women's sports. Brittany Lynam summed it up perfectly. She said
what she has done for women's sports and basketball, and to have her at our golf tournament, I'm in awe. I've got a basketball and hoping she signs it for my girls. But how cool for her to come out and support us this week and only help grow women's golf.
Did you catch that? These golfers see the bigger picture? They know Caitlin's star. Power isn't just good for basketball, it's good for all women's sports. It's like they've cracked a secret code. When one women's sport gets more attention, it lifts up all the others. And Caitlin Clark, she's like a rocket booster.
From this event, I have only seen and heard of positive things. I didn't hear one thing about how her fans are toxic. I didn't hear one thing about there being too much spotlight on Caitlin Clark, and it should have maybe been on the professional golfers.
The LPGA is showing everyone else how it's done. They're not just tolerating Caitlin's presence. They're celebrating it. They're using her star power to shine a spotlight on their own amazing athletes.
Yeah, I'm a massive Caitlin Clark fan. I love basketball, especially her. I tried to sneak in and come see her before my pro on Wednesday. That didn't really happen. I'm a little bummed out about that, but maybe next year. Yeah, I've taken a lot of inspiration from her. I think she's a lot of her ability. Just block out things. With everything that's happening in the WNBA surrounding her, she's able to handle it so well. And it's funny, like, I've always said this, the people that are at the top of their game, they will really appreciate what Caitlin Clark's having to deal with.
And you know what? It's working. Fans who might never have watched golf before are tuning in. They're seeing these incredible golfers and thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. All because the LPGA had the smarts to embrace Caitlin Clark.
You see here, this is days later. Nothing but love for Caitlin Clark over here. Constantly saying, like, it's always, everything is like, who doesn't love Caitlin Clark?
So while the WNBA is sitting on the sidelines, the LPGA is changing the game. They're showing that when it comes to growing women's sports, it's all about collaboration. And right now, they're writing the playbook on how to do it. Right? The LPGA's smart move with Caitlin Clark is changing golf and shaking up the entire sports world. Clark's impact is reaching way beyond the fairways, and some of the biggest names in sports are taking notice. We're talking Serena Williams' level of notice. Let's talk tennis for a second. Caroline, former world #1, said she'd love to play doubles with Caitlin Clark. Can you imagine that a tennis superstar wanting to team up with a basketball phenom?
Ever since I was little. Outside of tennis, my biggest role model and somebody who's inspired me a lot has probably been like a Mia Hamm and those women in other sports that have pushed boundaries and has pushed our sport to level up. I would pick Caitlin Clark to be my doubles partner from another sport. I think that would be really fun. I think there would be a massive crowd behind us, and I would love to see her play some tennis.
Even Serena Williams herself is impressed by what Clark's doing for women's sports when these icons take notice. You know, something big is happening.
And it's funny, like, I've always said this, the people that are at the top of their game, they will really appreciate what Caitlin Clark's having to deal with. So you're looking at, like, when it comes to female golfers, they make decent money, like a lot of the good ones. So they're at the top of their game. There's no, like, jealousy involved, and they're fully happy about Caitlin Clark, just like Serena Williams.
Now you might be thinking, okay, but what does this mean for other women's leagues? Well, let me tell you, it's putting some serious pressure on them. The LPGA showed everyone how it's done. They saw a star from another sport and celebrated her. They put her front and center and let her shine. And guess what other leagues are watching? They're seeing how the LPGA turned one golf event into a social media sensation. They're noticing how fans from all different sports are suddenly talking about women's golf. It's like the LPGA cracked the code, and now everyone wants in.
They all want a bit of Caitlin Clark because they know what it brings with them. They know what it brings. It's gonna bring crowd. Heck, even for her for doubles, she basically said it'll be fun and there'll be a big crowd. So like all of these players playing in front of a huge crowd, it's something that everybody strives for.
This Caitlin Clark effect is setting a whole new standard. It's showing leagues that it's not enough to just have great athletes. You need to embrace your stars, celebrate them, and use their platforms to grow your sport. The LPGA didn't just put Clark on a golf course. They put her next to their top player and let the magic happen. So what does this mean for other women's leagues? It means they need to step up their game. The old way of doing things is looking pretty outdated right now. Leagues that don't adapt, that don't embrace their star-S and use them to bring in new fans, they're going to get left behind.
And that helped everything. And you can see with other leagues realizing just how important this can be for their sport. And yeah, like these fans are probably not going to be going to every single event, but these fans might become fans of Nelly Korda. They might become fans of certain players. They might become fans of different aspects of the sport. And that's how you can keep fans in long term. And the LPGA knows, just like every league knows that, except the WNBA for some reason.
And let's be real. This is putting some serious heat on the WNBA. While they've been quiet about Clark, other sports are jumping at the chance to work with her. It's making the WNBA's approach look, well, let's just say it's not looking great. But here's the thing, this is about the future of women's sports. The LPGA showed that when you create excitement and buzz, everybody wins more fans, more attention, more opportunities for all athletes.
And I hope that they get it right next season. You have great players in this league. You have Paige coming in. You have Juju. Do not fumble it with those girls either. Stop fumbling the moment, because you're not only fumbling it for the current players in the league, you are fumbling it for every girl who wants to play professional basketball at one point. You are fumbling it for people like me who never wanted to play professional basketball because I didn't see a future in it. Now, girls can see a future in it. Now girls can see that they can make a lot of money playing. Now girls see that they can be on the biggest stage and that college isn't the biggest stage anymore. It can possibly be the WNBA. Do not fumble it for all of those girls as well.
So what's next? Will other leagues follow the LPGA's lead? Will we see more cross-sport collaborations? One thing's for sure, the game has changed. And any league that wants to keep up better be ready to play by the new rules.
Every single league understands the value of a transcendent star like Caitlin Clark. Other than the league she plays in
The LPGA just showed everyone how to welcome a superstar from another sport. They made Caitlin Clark the main event. And now the whole sports world is watching. The big question is, will the WNBA take notice and make changes? Or keep playing it safe while other leagues steal the spotlight? What do you think? How should the WNBA handle Caitlin Clark? Should they make her the face of the league or keep things low-key? One thing's for sure, the game has changed and the WNBA needs to adapt quickly. The way they handle this could shape the future of women's basketball. Are you excited to see what happens next?